It's now my great pleasure to introduce today's distinguished speaker, the celebrated actor, writer, director, comedian, and UCLA alumnus, Randall Park. A Los Angeles native, born to Korean immigrant parents, Randall Park grew up with an interest in acting that deepened significantly when he attended UCLA in the mid-1990s. During his time on campus, he co-founded LAPU, the Coyote at Cares Theater Company, an Asian American theater organization that has endured for several decades and remains active today. He earned his bachelor's degree in English with a minor in Asian American Studies in 1997. After several years on LA's theater, film, and comedy circuit, Park achieved breakthrough success with acting roles on the sitcom The Office in 2012, in the film The Interview in 2013. Since then, he has become one of the most in-demand actors in Hollywood, praised for his versatile skill set and nuanced performances bridging comedy and drama. Notably, he played an endearing patriarch in the television show Fresh Off the Boat, which aired from 2015 to 2020. He has become a mainstay in the Marvel and DC cinematic universes, with roles in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Aquaman franchises, as well as a series WandaVision. But there's more. He also co-wrote and starred in the 2019 romantic comedy film Always Be My Maybe. That film received critical acclaim for its fresh take on the genre and its Asian American representation. His feature-length directional debut, the film Shortcomings, competed in this year's Sundance Films Festival and comes out in theaters on August 4th. While Park's success in entertainment is well known, I want to note that he is a committed advocate for people with developmental disabilities. Park is helping to make accommodations for sensory needs available this year's commencement exercises through an organization called Culture City, where both he and his wife serve on the board of directors. Park has continued to stay deeply engaged with UCLA since his own graduation, serving as an alumni volunteer at UCLA's Unicamp, delivering the keynote address at 2017 English Departmental Commencement, and even earning our Alumni Association 2016 Edward A. Dixon Alumnus of the Year Award. So he has been an extraordinary participant on this campus. But there's more. I also want to acknowledge that his mother worked as an accountant here on campus for a full 3 decades. So this is a Bruin family. A captivating and boundary-breaking artist with a strong dedication to public service, Park is an exemplar of UCLA's excellence and UCLA's values. Please join me in welcoming today's distinguished speaker, Randall Park.
All right, thank you so much. And congratulations to the UCLA graduating class of 2023. Chancellor Block, deans, faculty, family, and friends, and graduates. It is a lifelong dream and a profound honor for you to have me here today. My name is Randall Park. As was mentioned in the introduction, I am a very successful actor. I am very talented, intelligent, charming, and humble. I am handsome too. In fact, I'm a bit of a sex symbol. I say this not to brag to you, so much as to brag to myself. Because a few months back, when Dean Galvan reached out and invited me to be this year's distinguished speaker, my first thought was, why me? There are far more distinguished people in this world, more famous, successful, more desirable people. So I had to remind myself of my own greatness. I needed to remember that Randall Park is an international sex symbol. Yes, I spoke in the third person. And yes, I threw in the word international. As we must do every now and again, I had to hype myself up. And if any self-doubt lingered, I would use that as motivation to write the best damn commencement speech in the history of UCLA. I was inspired, so I began to write. And at lightning speed, with the help of ChatGPT, I finished my speech. It took me about 7 seconds. And here we are. Graduates, before I begin, I want you all to give a round of applause for your family and friends here today and throughout your life who helped you get to this glorious mountaintop. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my own family who helped me get to this day. My beautiful wife of 13 years, my best friend in the world, Jay. She stood by my side when I was broke and struggling. I wouldn't be here without you, and I love you with all of my heart. And to Caitlin, my beautiful mistress of 2 years. I asked you not to come here, but you did, so what could I do? Also to my incredible 11-year-old daughter, Ruby, my favorite human being in the world. Her hobbies include painting, making slime, and attempted arson. I would also like to acknowledge my amazing mom and dad who are no longer with us. Not because they passed away, but because they were here earlier, got bored, and left. I'm kidding, they're here. They're here, hi Mom and Dad. And to my brother Dan, Doris, my man Roan over there, all my family and friends, I love you and I appreciate you. But to all of you graduates, please know that from here on out, we are family. We are a Bruin family. And throughout this life, if you ever find yourself in a bind, I am extending an open invitation for you to DM me directly on social media, and I will do whatever I can to help you out. I say this because Bruin bonds are strong, and also because I am not on social media. Speaking of disappointment, this is the subject I want to talk to you about today. Disappointment is going to be a recurring character in your life moving forward. You will be disappointed, you will disappoint others, and you will disappoint yourself. Tonight, many of you will be very drunk. And it's true. And a good percentage of you will commit a crime. My guess is about half of you. You will end up in jail desperately trying to DM me on social media to bail you out. One of your best days will turn into one of your worst, and you will momentarily lose sight of the fact that there is tomorrow. But you're already familiar with this process. Your time at UCLA has been fraught with disappointment. You've endured the catastrophe of a worldwide pandemic. You made it through a period of our history that continues to be rife with division, flagrant mendacity, and even war. And you mourned. In fact, we all mourned. None of us will ever get over the untimely death of Powell Cat. Our feline friend, a true source of campus joy. Yes, you've made it through a lot, yet somehow you got here. Here's a quote. The most exquisite rose in a garden started with but two things, a single seed and a big old pile of stinky cow shit. That's from Mother Teresa. This is according to ChatGPT. Here's the thing about disappointment. You may not realize it at the time, but after the sting of every setback, the heartache of every defeat, you will be left with but two options: To hold on to it and become bitter, or to grow from it and become better, stronger, smarter, more compassionate, more inspired. And sometimes just on the other side of disappointment, you will find a great blessing. Now I'm going to tell you 3 stories from my life on this topic. Here's the first one. I decided to pursue a professional acting career in my later 20s. I had been putting it off throughout my adult life because, frankly, I was scared of failure. But I finally gave in to my passion, and for well over that first decade, all I did was fail. Into my 30s, I was still living with my parents, broke, disillusioned, at times deeply depressed. My love life was in shambles. For some reason, women did not want to make out with a 32-year-old unemployed actor whose father just farted in the next room. But then in 2013, I booked my first lead role in a major studio motion picture. That movie was called The Interview, and the role was that of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Now, at the time, I wasn't sure if it was the best idea to play a real-life dictator, but then I thought about it and said to myself, what's the worst that could happen? Besides, the script was incisive and funny, and for me, it was an opportunity to finally show people what I could do. I was ready, and all I needed was a shot. After production wrapped, I was on a high, mostly from marijuana, but also emotionally. Before the movie was even released, word of my performance began to spread throughout the industry. Even the head of the studio pulled me aside and said, that performance is going to change your life. I was feeling more confident than ever. I started working more, and for the first time in my career, I got a straight offer for a role on a TV pilot that I never would have gotten had it not been for my rising stock in the industry. Then, just before the movie's release, as some of you may remember, all hell broke loose. North Korea made terrorist threats against any theater that would premiere The Interview. Sony Studios' internal infrastructure got hacked, and the entire entertainment industry was rocked to its core. The 24-hour news cycle speculated on possible nuclear retaliation. In fear for our lives, the studio set up around-the-clock security guards in front of our tiny home in Valley Village. It was insanity. Soon enough, every major cinema chain pulled The Interview from their theaters. My one shot at big-time success was foiled by the real-life Kim Jong-un. While the movie did end up coming out online and in a few independent theaters, the whole thing was overshadowed by the controversy surrounding it. It sucked, and I felt terrible. But eventually I got up, dusted myself off, and I moved forward. Then the completely unexpected happened. To my surprise, that little TV pilot I did got picked up to series. Fresh Off the Boat became the first Asian family on network television in over 20 years. It became a hit for ABC and would go on for 6 amazing seasons. That show not only changed my life, but I like to think that it helped change the industry, ushering us into this great renaissance of Asian American stories being told today. And for me, it never would have happened without The Interview. All right, here's another story. I've been lucky enough to be in the Marvel universe where I play a character named Agent Jimmy Woo. Thank you. In 2021, Jimmy Woo was a part of the first Marvel Studios series on Disney Plus called WandaVision. The show was wildly creative, immensely popular, and my character was so beloved that just last year, Marvel Legends released the Jimmy Woo action figure in my likeness. I was thrilled. I always wondered what it would be like to have my own action figure, and somehow this whimsical fancy had come to fruition. But then, just a few weeks ago, and this is a true story, I was at a Best Buy, and I wandered into an aisle of wall-to-wall Jimmy Woo action figures on clearance sale. Nothing humbles you like seeing an endless legion of your own face staring right back at you from a bargain bin. Needless to say, I got the hell out of that Best Buy. That's the end of that story. Not all of these end happy. Here's my final story. In 2008, I met the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Her name was Jay. I asked her out on a date, and for some reason, she said yes. Then, a year later, I asked Jay to marry me, and again, for some reason, she said yes. We got married, and then in 2011, we found out that we were going to have a baby. Initially, it was a shock for me. I had completely forgotten that such a thing could happen from unprotected sex. But it happened. And after briefly considering making a run for it, I started to get really excited. I was going to be a dad. All I could ask for was a healthy baby, but deep down my dream was for us to have a girl. I knew in my heart that I would make an amazing girl dad and a not-so-good boy dad. If you see me throw a football, you will understand what I'm talking about. Then on May 17th of 2012, my wish came true when a beautiful, healthy baby girl was born. We named her Ruby Louise Park. Seeing Ruby come out of her mother might have been the most horrific thing I had ever seen. I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Put it back in!" But thankfully, the doctor didn't listen. Because when I held that tiny girl in my arms, I fell in love. Our family was now 3. Our new chapter had begun. In the years that followed, Ruby was initially reaching all of her developmental milestones. But then we noticed her beginning to fall behind. Small patterns of behavior that were atypical of most children her age began to emerge. She was easily distracted and extremely sensitive to certain sounds and environments. At school, she seemed to have no interest in making friends. While other kids were beginning to delight in conversation, Ruby's verbal communication was limited to 1 or 2 words at a time. Something was off. We took Ruby to a doctor who sent us to a developmental pediatrician, and after months of testing and retesting, we were given the news. Ruby is on the autism spectrum. I was devastated. My first reaction was, how do we fix this? What can we do to make her better, to get her ready for this complex and oftentimes cruel world? For me, it was also a crisis of identity. I saw myself as a girl dad, but not the father of a child with a neurodevelopmental disorder. I became obsessed with researching all the different therapies, diets, medications, and emerging technologies, diving headfirst into a vortex of information, misinformation, wild conjecture, and toxic debate. I was at my wit's end, with no idea of what the future would look like. Today, Ruby is 11 years old. She is on the autism spectrum, and I wouldn't change a thing about her. She is beautiful. She is beautiful and strong like her mom, silly and gassy like her dad. She's creative, hilarious, and she loves to laugh. She is our pride and joy. Ruby has taught me so much about life, about compassion, and about how deep and meaningful communication isn't just about the words we say. It's also about energy and action, time and attention, and the subtle, silent, everyday expressions of an unconditional love. I used to think that she needed to be fixed in order to fit into this messed up world, but now I see it differently. It's the world that needs to do better, be kinder, be more inclusive. Ruby inspires me every day to do my part, and looking out at you shining graduates here today, I am confident that she and this world are going to be just fine. All right, now for the obligatory section where I give you some life advice. Here we go. If you're dating someone and you know it's not going to work, end the relationship, okay? Don't string them along. Don't ghost them. Certainly don't zombie them, which is when you ghost them and then months later you come back from the dead. And do not by any means werewolf them. That's when you show up one random night with longer hair, swearing that you've changed. And then when you get rejected, you howl at the moon and take a dump on their lawn. Do not do that. If you're doing laundry in an apartment complex, time it out so that you can remove your clothes as soon as it's done. As opposed to leaving it sitting in the machine all day for the next person to wonder if it's okay to touch your nasty, ratty underwear. If you find yourself anonymously trolling an innocent someone on the internet, stop and ask yourself, why am I so miserable? And what actionable steps can I take to fix it? If you retrofitted your car or a motorcycle with one of those super loud exhaust pipes, again, ask yourself, why am I so miserable? And what actionable steps can I take to fix it? There are children like my daughter who are very sensitive to loud noises. Also, we aren't looking at you because we think you're cool. We are turning to look because we're startled and because we think you're being ridiculous. I guess all of this is to say, let's try to be kinder and more considerate of one another. It's a tough thing to be in this very broken world and in this internet age where the algorithm was seemingly designed to keep us on edge. But I believe that treating others with kindness, especially when there's nothing personal to gain from it, is a small, simple, and effective way of making the world a better place. But it all starts with being kind to yourself, taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical health, cultivating your joy, and protecting your sense of humor at all costs. And yes. And during any moments of self-doubt, take personal stock. Remind yourself that you are a UCLA Bruin. This school is impossible to get into, and you graduated from it. You are already, yes. You are already, right now, incredibly accomplished. You are intelligent, talented, charming, and humble. You are an international sex symbol. All right, I have one last story before I go. Now, this story takes place in the year 2074. I'm 100 years old, and I'm on my deathbed. I'm in my bedroom, surrounded by my loved ones, my wife, Jay, who is just as beautiful as the day we met, my daughter, Ruby, who is now the first AAPI neurodiverse female president of the United States, and all of you, my Bruin family, are there with me. I have a very big bedroom. I lived a great life. I achieved many accolades. I won many awards. I finally learned how to throw a football. And I'm happy to report that the original Jimmy Woo action figure recently sold at auction for a record-breaking $17 billion. But I'm not thinking about any of my achievements, nor am I dwelling on any of my disappointments. I am simply at peace, for I know what it likes to love and be loved. I see a blinding light, and I transition to the other side, where I'm greeted by all my family and friends who have passed. I see Mother Teresa. Hey, Mother Teresa. And oh my God, there's Powell Cat. I'm so happy to be with them all, there with them all, but I do have one question. Why is it so hot in here? I'll tell you why, says Powell Cat. Oh shit, you can talk. Yes, in the afterlife, cats can talk. Anyway, Randall, it's hot because you're in hell. But I'm confused. I mean, I know I'm garbage, but Mother Teresa, shouldn't you be in heaven? She responds, I tried, Randall, but that place is just as hard to get into as UCLA. For a moment, I am disappointed, devastated, actually. I wasn't prepared for an afterlife and eternal damnation. But then I look up and I see all these beautiful people and animal in front of me. And just past that sinking feeling of devastation, I find a seed of inspiration, of hope for a better tomorrow. So I roll up my sleeves and I offer this. Why don't we all band together and every day put in the work to turn this hell into a heaven? To which Mother Teresa will smile and respond, fuck yeah. UCLA's graduating class of 2023, I want you all to go out there and do the same. Thank you.